I think the Yankees, with the way they performed against the Guardians bullpen, might have a pretty good chance in this series because the Dodgers don't really have too many starters to throw at them, and they're going to have to throw their bullpen out there.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I am one of your hosts, Stacey Gotsoulias. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, we know who the Yankees are playing in the World Series.
Yeah, we've had some time to digest it, too.
Yes, and we're going to talk all about it. But first, before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you know when those videos go live. So obviously, we're going to talk about the Yankees-Dodgers matchup. We're going to talk about how fans of other teams are not happy about this matchup and some of the conspiracy theories that are going around about this matchup, because those are always fun. We're going to talk about some Yankees news. We know who's starting game one. Everyone knows who's starting game one. It's the natural choice. But first, Yankees-Dodgers. First time in 43 years, 12th time in history. This is actually pretty exciting. It's the first time since 2013 that the two teams in the leagues with the best record are facing off against each other in the World Series.
It still is weird to think that the Yankees had the best record in the American League.
I
I still can't even process that. No, really is amazing. Really is exciting. I feel like any age range of this playoff, of this baseball generation could find this series interesting, right? Because if you're young, you're obsessed with the storylines and the names on each roster, right? Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Gerrit Cole, Carlos Rodon, the superstars there. And on the Dodgers side, right? The Freddie, who knows if Freddie Freeman's going to play, but Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Tyler Glasnow, even guys aren't even playing like Tyler Glasnow, Blake Trinan, like the amount of names that you have on each side is incredible, not to mention Ohtani.
I was going to say, I'm like, you're forgetting the biggest one over there.
And then you go to the older generation who remembers watching the Brooklyn Dodgers and remember watching Jackie Robinson on those teams and stuff. So you really break down both generations. Who could not like this series? Who could not be interested in this series? Who could not just... It's going to feel not nostalgic for my sense, but nostalgic in like a grand sense. Just seeing the World Series logo on the TV with Yankees and Dodgers next to it. That's going to feel cool. So really looking forward to this. Nervous. But as I think we mentioned all week, nervous, but less nervous than I'd be if this was the Mets, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not nervous yet, but I think it's because we have so many days before this even starts. It feels like it's 3 weeks away. It's Friday. Today's show is Tuesday, but those days are going to go by really slowly. So I am not nervous yet. And I also agree. I feel a little more relieved that it's the Dodgers. I feel like there's less pressure with the Dodgers because it's the clash of the two best teams. And it's like, yes, a team is going to lose, but
there's
someone
no shame
has to
in losing this series.
Right. Where there would be a little bit of shame in losing to the Mets, only because of,
the New York geographical rivalry.
Yes. So the Yankees and Dodgers, as we all know, they played in June. The Dodgers won that series, but things have changed a lot since June and that series. There were some things that happened before that series that affected the series. Gerrit Cole not pitching for the first couple of months of the season. Juan Soto got hurt before that series and didn't play in that series. That was a big blow. Everyone always talked about...
we were all scared too if it was going to be longer. Remember, because he had an injury in the middle of a game and we didn't know if it was going to be longer.
Oh yeah, we thought he was going to be out for like weeks, and he was only out for a few days because he's a superhero human person. Who knew? You thought he was going to be out longer, and you weren't sure how things would be without him. And we found out it wasn't great. Now, they only got killed in that one game, the 11-3 game The Saturday game, of course, which was, I believe, a Fox game, because of course they would put Yankees-Dodgers on a Fox game, and of course the Yankees would embarrass themselves on national TV. The night before was a walk-off win for the Dodgers. Not a walk-off, extra innings win for the Dodgers in, was it 10 or 11? The 11-3 game on the Saturday, Oswaldo Cabrera pitched. That's how bad it was for the Yankees. Victor Gonzalez was still on the team. Caleb Ferguson was still on the team.
Yep.
The Sunday game, they redeemed themselves. They got to Tyler Glasnow. Judge hit a home run. Grisham hit a home run. Oswaldo Cabrera hit a home run. It was just a strange series, but Juan Soto is going to be in this World Series. The Yankees bullpen completely revamped. Tyler Glasnow not pitching for the Dodgers. The Dodgers barely have a starting rotation right now. So I think the Yankees, with the way they performed against the Guardians bullpen, might have a pretty good chance in this series, because the Dodgers don't really have too many starters to throw at them, and they're going to have to throw their bullpen out there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think an advantage the Yankees have also is Gerrit Cole wasn't able to pitch in that series, so they haven't seen Gerrit Cole. And most of these Dodgers players, if you really look at it, haven't seen Gerrit Cole most of his career, because when Mookie was in the American League, Gerrit Cole wasn't on the Dodgers. That wasn't on the Yankees, so he was on the Pirates. So Mookie didn't really see him very much. And then when other players like Freddie Freeman was on the Atlanta Braves, didn't see Gerrit Cole too much. So like there is a good difference of guys on the Dodgers who haven't faced Gerrit Cole many times. So that does give the Yankees an advantage, especially because Cole will get to pitch 3 times in this series. And also, what's very strange is Yamamoto has not been the same since that series. Now, he pitched well in the Yankee game, but he, and you mentioned this, and I think there's some credence to this, he was trying to overdo it because it was the team that was after him, and Yamamoto was talked about for a while going into the Yankees wanted him so badly, and he was clearly overthrowing. That's the game he got hurt in. He didn't get back to the Dodgers till like September. That's how he would miss basically the whole summer on injury because he hurt his shoulder. And now you're at a position where, is he back? Yes. Is he pitching well? At times. But he can't go a complete game. He can't go 4 innings. He's really giving them 3 innings a time, which is good, but not what they signed him for. It's certainly not what they're paying him for. So that's an advantage the Yankees get too. I do think with the way the Dodgers have went this entire postseason, using their bullpen, really abusing their bullpen constantly. There's a bullpen game every other day, it seems like, for the Dodgers, because they need to spread their starters out. Their best pitcher is Jack Flaherty, who has had signs of really good pitching, but also has had signs of really bad pitching with the Dodgers. The Mets series is the perfect example of how he had, one great game followed by another bad game. There is a lot in this series that I think the Yankees have an advantage to. And, right now, if you look at the gambling line, the Dodgers are minus 130, so they're slight favorites over the Yankees. But I think the minus 130 comes from the Dodgers having home field advantage. And simple as that. Games 1, 2, 6, and 7 will be in LA. That is an advantage. Only 2, 3, and 5 will be in the Bronx. But other than that, I have a hard time looking at the series and not thinking the Yankees have a slight edge in most spots. Other than the Dodgers, I think the Yankees have a good lineup. They really do. Borderline great. The Dodgers have an unforgiving lineup. Their lineup doesn't stop. They have a potential Hall of Famer in the first 5 spots. That's a little scary to go through. But if there's a team that has the length to be able to deal with that and the elite starting pitching to deal with that, it probably is the Yankees.
Yeah. And I think the Yankees do well on the road. They showed it in Cleveland. If not for that one hiccup in Game 3, they had no issues playing in Cleveland. And they had no issues finishing it out in Kansas City either. And they tend to do okay in LA. They've won series out there. They even won the series when Judge broke his toe. They won 2 out of 3 in that series. So I think that I actually like the Yankees' chances in this series. It's a good sign if they at least split in the first 2 games out in LA, heading home 1-1. It's just, I can't believe we're here. I really can't. If you told me at the beginning of the season the Yankees and Dodgers are going to meet in the World Series,
okay, yeah,
I would have been like, before Cole got hurt, I would have been like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
sure.
Potentially, sure.
They went out, got the biggest guys, and the Yankees went out, got Soto, to bolster the lineup. You have Gerrit Cole. I wouldn't be surprised if you had told me in July that the Yankees were going to make the World Series and do it with relative ease. Because
at times, the Yankees are going to make the playoffs.
Right. People were thinking they weren't going to make the playoffs. I knew they were.
Me too, but still.
I didn't think they were going to screw up so badly that they'd miss the playoffs. But I just, I really can't believe we're here. But I also can't believe we have so many days to prepare for it.
It's gonna marinate. You're gonna be ready for it once it gets here.
Yeah, I think so. So quickly, last meeting, obviously 1981. Dodgers won in 6 games after losing the first 2 in Yankee Stadium. The Yankees won 8 of their meetings with the Dodgers in the World Series. The Dodgers won 55, famously, 63, and 81, which was my first sports heartbreak. So I need the Yankees to avenge that night for me, because 7-year-old Stacy was very upset and cried herself to sleep after.
And let's just mention too that according to all sports mediums out there and places that you get your news, the record of the Yankees and the Dodgers in these past series has a lot to do with what's going to happen in this series. Apparently, I don't know why. I think it's great and the history is fun and I love it, but dear God, the amount of people and sports mediums out there that are giving out the records in these past series. Oh, Yankees are 8-3. Yankees are 8-3 against the Dodgers, and who cares? I think it's. I'm not saying for our show's purpose. We'll mention it, but why does that have anything to do with who's going to win this series? And
43 years ago they played the last time.
Seriously?
43 years ago. I was in
half of these series. Bullpens didn't exist.
I was in 2nd grade. Do you know how long ago that was? Olivia Newton-John's physical hadn't been released yet. Okay. Or it had just been released. That's how long ago that was. That's a really long time ago.
I don't get it. It. But hey, we're here for it.
All right. Well, coming up next, we're going to talk about some news, some Yankee news, as I teased about at the top of the show. The Game 1 starter. We know it's Gerrit Cole. We're going to talk about that. But there's another starter who could come back, and he could come back as not a starter. We'll talk about it. First, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go live. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to the game. Lots of reactions to the Dodgers Mets. A lot of worried people. Some people aren't so worried. It's kind of interesting to see the breakdown. We send out the lineups. We tell you about roster moves, breaking news also, so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. So again, coming up next, the Game 1 starter is set.
If you guys are like me or Stacy and you yearn to attend Yankee playoff games and be a part of that atmosphere, you have to find all your tickets on Gametime. All the games that I've been to this postseason have been through Gametime. And with Gametime, it's never been easier to get the best tickets for all those playoff games. They've got a new feature called Gametime Picks, which does all the hard work for you. Instead of searching through thousands of tickets, Gametime Picks filters out of the fluff and shows you only the absolute best deals on great seats. And if that wasn't enough, they've got an all-in pricing feature. Just toggle it on and it shows you the full price up front with no surprises at checkout. You also get seat views. If you've never been to Yankee Stadium, you can see a panoramic view of your seat in the app so you can decide exactly where you want your seats to be. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use code one word LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And don't forget that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. All right, Stacey, so to the surprise of nobody, Gerrit Cole was named the Game 1 starter for the New York Yankees. Yeah, exactly. Who was surprised about this one? The rotation's not set yet. You kind of know what it's going to be, though, right? It's probably going to be the exact same one that you've seen most of the postseason. I will say, Yankees, I like how it feels a lot more normal and consistent than it has in years past. The playoff rotation, we know who the 4 starters are. There's no J. Happ, Davey Garcia situation in an elimination game. None of that. None of that.
Don't remind
malarkey.
me. I'm still angry about that.
Yeah. Exactly. So you're getting consistent. Your aces on the mound. I think you got to be happy about that. It all sets Gerrit Cole up to pitch in a potential game 1, game 5, and game 7, which I think is huge for the Yankees because you'll have the travel day in between. So he'll be on short rest for game 7 if there's a game 7, but they'll have a travel day in between. Also of note, Gerrit Cole from the Los Angeles area, played at UCLA. Was his dream to go to college there, but did grow up an Angels fan. So he's not a Dodgers fan. There are 2 Dodgers fans. I believe a second Dodgers fan on the roster. Hold on one second. I just want to search where this guy's from because I'm like 99% sure he grew up a Dodgers fan.
Stanton. His dad used to take him to games.
So Stanton is absolutely one of them. The other one, I believe, nope, I'm wrong. Giancarlo Stanton for sure. I thought Tommy Kahnle for some reason was from Los Angeles, but he's not.
Oh.
I don't know. I believe they mentioned, though, there's another guy on the Yankees that grew up a big Dodger fan in LA, but I know Stanton grew up a big Dodger fan.
I thought Cole was a Yankee fan. Wasn't the infamous sign that he had?
Well, I mean, yeah, he rooted for the Yankees, but he also grew up going to Angels games consistently with his dad.
Well, yeah, because he lived near there.
He probably rooted for the Angels as a kid and was like every other Yankee fan, from around the country that's never like been to a game or never been to New York City, but they're a Yankee fan because the Yankees win. It's like all the Laker fans that live in New York. Same kind of thing. Or the Cowboy fans that live in New York. So he did hold that sign up, yes, but Gerrit Cole grew up going to a lot of Angels games, grew up in the LA area. So 2 Los Angeles natives, Aaron Judge, obviously a California native, but really cool if you're Stanton. Stanton also has demolished the Dodgers in his career. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. Judge does hit them really well, but Stanton has, since his Marlins days, crushes the Dodgers. So something about him he loves playing there, loves that stadium. Actually,
yeah, that's why I'm actually happy about. I mean, I'm not that happy that they don't have home field advantage, but again, the Yankees were really good on the road.
Yeah,
these guys like hitting in that stadium, and Stanton is rising up to the occasion. I'm hoping that Judge does that also in the World Series. It would be really nice. I'm also thankful that Judge will be in center field, not right field. He won't be near that door. Hopefully everyone will tell Soto to stay away from that door, but he's kind of like Bobby Abreu in the field, and I don't see him crashing into a wall, so he should be okay.
Interesting too. I think something that we forgot to mention in the last segment, but should be brought up too. The Yankees, I think why the Met matchup really scared me more is the powerful Met starting pitching that's left-handed. Dodgers have none of that. Dodgers pretty much have no left-handed pitching at all on their roster.
Which is so strange.
Very strange. Huge advantage for the Yankees though, because they clobber righties all year, especially starters. And the Dodgers don't have any starters that are left-handed, so that's a real big benefit for the Yankees.
Right, and I think they're it's not like the Yankees have been, they haven't been horrible at the plate. Their approach has been better. Some guys, especially like Volpe's looking better at the plate. Glaber's looked good for 2 months, but he's really stepping it up in the playoffs. Stanton was saying, this guy gets on base all the time. He gets on base ahead of Soto and he sets things up. And
we talk about it all the time, though. It's one of those things. Every team has this in the postseason, right? And you need that. There's always a guy out of nowhere that steps up. It seems like every championship the Dodgers win, it's Kike Hernandez. But there's always that player you don't really talk about. You don't really think of, that's not a
Tommy
necessarily.
Edman.
Yeah,
he won the MVP. Like, who would have expected him to win the NLCS MVP?
Or Pages, who's been great for them too. The point is that there's always players on different teams that wind up being these guys that come out of nowhere that you're like, where did he come from? And he winds up winning a series MVP. Alan Craig. I mean, they're all over the league. But you need guys like that. And, Gleyber Torres is one of those guys that, not that he's not a household name or he's not a great player, but, he's not thought around the league as this, oh my God, player that's like this incredible. He's not thought of as a superstar player on the league. He's thought of as a really nice player. And the fact that he's been as good as he's been in these playoffs, there could be a moment that Gleyber comes up with with runners on and they need runs. And it's funny. I think a few months ago, if you were trying to tell me Gleyber Torres is going to have a playoff at bat with 2 men on, you'd be scared. You'd be like, absolutely not. Now I'd welcome that.
Now I prefer seeing Gleyber with guys on base preferred over Aaron Judge at this point, which is so sad to say, but
it's crazy. It really is.
Yeah, it's always that way. There's always some guy that you don't expect to do something in the playoffs. Not necessarily for the Yankees. especially in the dynasty years, like you had like Bernie would do stuff and
Yeah.
Jeter would do things. Tino was good for a monumental home run every few playoff series, but for other teams that make it to the playoffs, you always have these guys where you're just like, who is this person and where did he come from? And then as quickly as they appear and do their thing in the World Series, they disappear.
Yeah, it's wild. And speaking of guys that'll be returning too, Nestor Cortes, it looks like from all accounts will be back on the roster, and it looks like pretty much, I mean, if you believe the accounts that are written online and for everything that I really can gather too, Marcus Stroman will not be on the World Series roster. Right. Which again, it's crazy to think about. The Cashman went out and signed a guy for $18 million a year for 2 years, and he's not going to make the World Series roster. Nothing wrong with that decision, in my opinion, but is crazy to think about. What's your feeling on this? I don't think he'll be a starter. I don't think he'll get a start. But what's your I mean, he must be healthy, right? There's no way they put him on the roster if he wasn't fully healthy.
Right. I know he was working his way back. He was throwing to guys. I think he'll be. I'm assuming they'll do Cole, Rodon, Clark Schmidt, Heel.
Yeah, that's
right.
Makes sense.
And I think maybe if someone doesn't go as long as they want them to, but they don't want to burn out the bullpen, you'll see Nestor come in that role.
That's what scares me is late in this series. If the Yankees are only using the same 4 guys, I guess now it's 5 with Cousins. The Dodgers hitters are smart, and their lineup is so lengthy that they're going to see these guys multiple times. And I think, by the first couple of games, they might not be able to hit him as well. But I'm sorry, Stacey, like if Ohtani's seeing Luke Weaver in game 6 for the 4th time, that at-bat scares me. Or Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman. Those at-bats scare me. And with the Yankees not having a huge length of names that they really trust in big spots, I do think there's a chance that if it's a 3-run game, Boone's going to have to go to Nestor just to keep them off balance. I also think Nestor could be a good piggyback to Gerrit Cole or Rodon, and here's why. Nestor doesn't really rely on velocity. He is much more of a location and finesse and timing kind of pitcher. And I do think with 2 hard throwers like Cole and Rodon who throw, upper 90s, close to 100 miles an hour, I do think Nestor is a really good piggyback to either of them. Like, say Rodon gives you 4 innings of 1 run, which I think you would take from a Rodon start. Would you?
I guess the Dodgers, yes.
Would you be against Nestor giving you the 5th and the 6th?
No.
And then 7, 8, 9, you go, Canely, Cousins, Weaver, whatever order you want to take that in. But would you be against Nestor doing that? I think I like the matchup of Nestor coming in, following Cole or Rodon, who throw particularly hard, as opposed to a Clark Schmidt, where it's kind of like you're seeing the same velocity coming back in. Whereas Cole, you see Nestor after Cole, you're completely off balance.
Right.
I do think that's why, to mention why Clay Holmes has a lot more success following like the elite arms. Because Clay Holmes is a much more of a power sinker, different kind of movement than what Rodon and Cole have to offer. I think it's hard to follow that. Whereas when you follow it with a Clark Schmidt, they have a lot of the same delivery action, a lot of the same kind of pitches. It's not too different than what you were seeing prior. Whereas Holmes followed by Cole, it's a lot more harder to deal with that. I do think there's something to that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's kind of interesting to think about because, I'm thinking about years ago, the Yankees always basically threw the same guys out. Like Joe Torre was famous for that, where you just saw the same guys all the time. And if their pitches are good enough, they should be able to shut people out no matter how many times they face them. So we'll see. But I mean, the same could be said for the Yankees, because if they keep seeing the Dodgers bullpen arms, early in games for the first 3 games,
they just have more. They have more arms. Like they have more arms and a longer bullpen. That's what scares me a little more. Is you might not see Blake Treinen 4 or 5 times.
Right.
That kind of scares me. But we'll see. Dodgers have a loaded list of arms though, and a lot of their arms in their bullpen too are guys who around the league were looked at as like top up and coming starters around the league, and now are bullpen arms like Dakota Hudson. It's incredible what they've got around their roster. It really is.
That is true. All right, coming up, let's talk about this matchup because a lot of people have a problem with it, and I find it extremely hilarious.
Hey, NFL fans, you can start this season off with a big return on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you can place all your bets. And guys, it is the most wonderful time of the year, October, right? NHL season starting, NBA season is starting, NFL is getting close to the middle of the year already. It's crazy how quick that's gone. Baseball's ending, but Champions League and soccer is going on. Everything is happening, and you can bet all of it on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's all available on FanDuel.com. And remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So, Stacey, I've been made aware that a lot of baseball is annoyed about the Yankee-Dodgers series, and I don't understand why. Can you please enlighten me?
Yeah. I mean, it's social media, but there are so many fans of different teams that are just so mad at this. And I find it hilarious because with the way they're making it sound, this is the thing that drives me crazy. The same fans who made fun of the Yankees for not making the World Series for 15 years are now complaining that the Yankees are in the World Series because they spent a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
no
well,
one's
the Yankees,
happy ever.
the Yankees always spend a lot of money. They just happen to do well enough this year to make it to the World Series. I also find it hilarious that the fans are almost siding with small market owners and saying, oh no, the Yankees and the Dodgers should be punished for spending too much money because these small market teams can't keep up with them. You know who's another...
I'm sorry, that is the oldest, fakest narrative in all of baseball, but we can get into that in a little bit.
Well, another owner who doesn't like to spend money, who's in like the third largest market in the country, is Jerry Reinsdorf, the Chicago White Sox. That's not a small market by any means, and he refuses to spend money. And they were bringing up Cleveland being, you know, a smaller market team against the big bad Yankees. Meanwhile, Cleveland's owner is actually worth more money than Hal Steinbrenner by a lot, by a couple $1 billion. Do you guys realize how much a 1 billion is? And if it's more than 1 billion, that's a lot of money difference. People were complaining about the Rangers and Diamondbacks last year. The same people who were complaining about the Yankees and Dodgers buying their championships that they haven't won yet because they haven't played yet, we're also complaining about the Diamondbacks making the World Series. No one is ever happy, Brian. No one is ever happy.
No, complaining about the Rangers is funny too. A team with 3 $200+ million contracts in Seager and DeGrom and the like. So that's also funny too. I do want to say that narrative has continued since the late 90s, early 2000s, that the big market teams can just outspend the smaller market teams who can't compete. Since shared revenue, one of the few things that Rob Manfred did that sort of kind of works, and there's flaws to it for sure, but it actually doesn't make sense anymore, the argument of these other teams can't afford it. The shared revenue in Major League Baseball means that every team gets a very, 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 I'll add another one, very large check at the end of every single year where all of the revenue throughout Major League Baseball is shared. I think I froze there. Where all of the revenue is shared throughout Major League Baseball every single year. And it's a lot of money. I'm talking like over $100 million. So I really, really don't want to hear, and I hate hearing the argument. The only thing the Yankees are making individual money off of, that is where they make more money than Cincinnati or anything like that, is on ticket sales, which, yes, the Yankees do have an advantage because more people are going to Yankee games more every year than Cincinnati Reds games. I will give you this argument, though. Whose fault is that for marketing your team poorly, for people not wanting to go to the games? Guess what? When you have a good team, people will go, and then you'll make more money. But you guys got to, I mean, if people aren't aware, I want you to be aware. And if baseball fans around the country aren't aware, we need to start getting more aware. Every Aaron Judge jersey that you purchase, every Yankee hat that Stacey is wearing, if that hat that Stacey's wearing right now cost $30, let's just say, right? And I'm sure if we had a World Series patch on it, it would be $195. But let's just, for argument's sake, say $30. The way Major League Baseball is divided up, every single team in Major League Baseball would get $1 of the $30 that Stacey spent for that hat. That is how that works. The Yankees do not get all 30. That is not how it works. So these teams, and that's for any jersey, for every Ellie De La Cruz jersey or Ohtani jersey, that is all split up. The money that Fox and TBS and MLB Network and all these companies pay to advertise with Major League Baseball and to have the broadcasting rights for Major League Baseball, Apple TV, Amazon Prime TV. Just because the Yankees are on Amazon Prime every Wednesday does not mean the Yankees are getting money. That is not House Steinbrenner going after a cash grab. That is Major League Baseball going after a cash grab, because all of that money is divvied up. Now, back in the day, all of that money went to the New York Yankees, and a portion of it went to Major League Baseball's corporate department. Now, all of that money is divided actually 31 ways. It divides 30 ways by all the teams, and another way by Major League Baseball's corporate department. So the league has money of its own. That is how baseball works nowadays. So when you hear teams like, I don't know, the Tampa Bay Rays or the Miami Marlins tell you, we can't afford to sign our player to a $100 million contract. Bull. They can all afford to give those contracts out. They can all afford to spend that money. They choose not to. The owners choose to take that money, put it in their pockets, and start to collect. And that's why you've seen over the last 2 decades since this rule has been instituted in baseball, because it was instituted to be able to let the smaller market teams compete. That was the point. And the problem is, a lot of these teams decided because a lot of these families, like, I don't know, the Cincinnati Reds, for an example, the Pittsburgh Pirates, which are, a lot of them are owners who have owned these teams since the 70s, 80s, or when baseball teams weren't worth as much and it was a lot cheaper to buy them. And now all their cohorts are worth, billions of dollars. Now it's a $100 million check that comes in their name. They don't have to spend that money. It's their property, and it's basically like dividends that come in the mail every year. It's a check for $100 million. What a lot of these owners are doing is saying, here's $20 million towards the salary cap next year, towards the luxury tax. I'm going to keep the 80. Thank you very much, and take it to the bank. And that's what's been happening, is you're getting a lot of these poor owners, that like the owners of the Rays, who are taking that money and adding it to their net worth, so they're worth more, and using it as a profit instead of actually reinvesting it in the team. Whereas Hal Steinbrenner reinvested in the team. I can go on a tangent all day about it, but it bothers me so much when you hear teams say, well, we can't afford to sign, the Arizona Diamondbacks can't give out a big contract. Yes, they can. They choose not to. Very big difference.
And the other thing is, I saw a tweet from someone saying that if you like baseball, you shouldn't like this World Series.
Why?
And my thought was, oh yeah, because seeing Mookie Betts and Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Giancarlo Stanton, Freddie Freeman, Yamamoto, Cole, yeah, that's going to be really bad to see basically an all-star game for possibly 6 or 7 days in a World Series.
There's what, over $700 million in contracts in the series per year? I mean, there's definitely over a couple of $1 billion in total value of contracts, right? I mean, think about that. So, no, I think this is an incredible matchup, an incredible World Series. And I got to be honest with you, if I'd find it hard-pressed to believe that anybody in Major League Baseball's corporate department was not dying for this matchup.
Oh, they were all dying for it, but the fans are all acting like it's the worst thing ever, and it's just funny to me. And
I think it's terrific.
You also have people announcing on social media that they're boycotting the World Series because the
Have
Dodgers
fun.
and the Yankees made it. It's like, okay, so watch football, watch basketball, watch hockey, and I don't want to see you tweet anything about the World Series, because when people say they boycott something and then they don't.
Yeah, that means they watch more.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for it, and I think as any baseball fan, if I weren't a Yankee fan, I'd be excited for it too. I mean, it's an incredible matchup. It's an incredible series. I don't know how you couldn't be into this.
It really is. I mean, I can understand from certain points of view, like if you're a Giants fan, if you're a Mets fan, because you never want anything good to happen to the Yankees. If you're an Orioles fan, Red Sox fan, Padres, they don't want the Dodgers to win, but they also don't want the Yankees to win because the Yankees beat them in 98. So there's like a whole, so those people should be like how I am when, like say the Astros and the Red Sox playing an ALCS, I root for the Meteor. Just root for the Meteor. Just do that. That's always fun. You don't have to, because I also don't like this whole thinking that you have to root for a team. Just be neutral.
You don't.
I'm usually neutral when teams that I don't really care about are in the World Series. I just root for a good World Series.
You can pull for a team. I think that's like a thing too. Like you don't does it just if we get a Mariners Marlins World Series and you pull for the Mariners, it doesn't mean that you're now a Mariners fan.
Right.
Like you could just pull, you can root for them in the series. That's the team I prefer to see win. But no, I completely agree. You don't need a rooting interest. You could just enjoy the series.
Just enjoy the series.
Fan. And I think you will. I think it's going to be a good series.
I hope so. I mean, I know for my blood pressure, I don't want it to go 6 or 7 games, but for the baseball perspective of it,
I think it will. It's hard to believe it won't.
I think it has the potential to be a good series.
And I think it won't.
I think Major League Baseball, as you said, they are definitely thrilled about this. This is the matchup they wanted. As annoying as it is for everyone else, Ohtani and Judge alone. I mean, the storylines are just the narrative, everything. It's just going to be so dramatic, and I'm here for every second of it.
Can't wait. Can wait, but can't wait.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm glad we have a few days to let this sink in and to prepare mentally for it. And I told everyone of our insiders that we're going to have normal shows this week. So everything's going up at midnight for the following day. And then Friday night, after game 1, 8:08 p.m. So it's going to be a late live stream. Audio will be up like a half hour after that, but that's the plan. We're going live after every game. They're all 8:08 p.m. So
can't wait.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Can't wait.
If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you are subscribed and you have other friends who would like to watch us and hang out with us after games, please let them know about it. And listen to us on every audio platform possible if you can't watch us on YouTube. So thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic coming up on Friday between the Yankees and the Dodgers with Sully, who is tortured by this matchup because he grew up a Red Sox fan, but he also pulled for the Giants because he lived in Northern California. So this is the worst possible scenario for poor Sully.
And get to see Mookie Betts play for the Dodgers.
Exactly. The link to Locked On MLB is in the description, so you don't need to search. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And make sure you check out the Locked On Yankees postcast right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed, as well as streaming on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you tomorrow.